We are live here on Believe in Monsters podcast. Me and Chris Krogman tonight. Joe Gaither is busy. I hope he had happy holidays since it's been that long since we've talked. Chris, how you doing? How you feeling? Notre Dame in the championship. Flex the shirt. And goes.
Let's go, Irish. We need a little more energy here tonight, Lucas. We're fucking live on the Believe in Monsters podcast on the Believe Network. We are fucking stoked to be here with you all talking coaching search. I'm ecstatic to talk to you, Lucas. It's been weeks and weeks. I haven't seen your pretty face. Haven't heard how your holidays were. Don't know how you felt about the Packers win. Yeah, it's been a long time. So, how are you, sir? How were your holidays?
I'm doing well. My holidays were great. We hosted Christmas for the first time at our place, so
Nice.
that was awesome. Yeah, everything went well, and the Bears capped off the holiday season with a big win over those dirty bastards up north.
Was that the best gift that you got from the world, or did your lady friend get you anything exciting, or did your parents get you anything fun?
I got a cool whiskey smoking kit. I asked for it, but made some smoked old fashions then on New Year's Eve, which is pretty sweet. Just got some like wood chips, and you put them in I don't even know what it is. Mine's shaped like a skull, and it's like a skull with a lid on it, and the smoke just pours down into your glass of whiskey and infuses it with wood smoke.
Do you drink it while the smoke is billowing into it, or do you gotta like let it sit there for a minute? What's going on?
No, you let it sit and billow in there for like a minute or two, and then when you remove the cap, it all comes out, but your drink is infused with like a smoky flavor.
That sounds cool. Sounds good.
It's good. It's tasty. Yeah. I made mine then with cinnamon simple syrup in there and a few dashes of black walnut bitters, and then the cherry wood chips smoked in there. Nice little cocktail.
That's awesome. I got this lovely Bears tumbler and a bunch of other stuff, but I need to pause real quick. Talk amongst yourself, Lucas.
Well, we got the coaching search coming up. We had the Bears beating the Packers to finish the season. The Bears damaged the Packers going into the playoffs, and the Packers got eliminated immediately, as well as the Vikings. So the NFC North is basically fully eliminated from the playoffs in Wild Card Weekend, which is always fun to see. The Lions are the last team standing, and we'll see. I don't know. I think they're going to be a tougher out than the other two, but still, Vikings and Packers out, so the rooting interest basically just shifts versus whoever's playing the Lions, but they might go on a deep run here, which will impact the coaching search.
Coaching search. 7-year-olds, 9-year-olds. What is he? I don't know. 9-year-old wanted to talk about going on the roof, and it's not. No.
Oh, on the roof.
Yeah, it's way too late. No, he wants to go look at the moon with his telescope, and it's like dark and late. No. Ben Johnson interview. Is that what we're talking about? Is that scheduled yet? Because I know they can talk to him on the 20th or as soon as the 20th.
They already talked to him.
No, I know they talked to him once, like on the virtual, right? But they can in person on the 20th.
So the rules are, they changed them last year and they got very confusing. So if you're still employed by an NFL team, all interviews have to be virtual, and you have until the end of the divisional round playoffs to do them. Then after that, you have to wait until January 20th before you can start scheduling in-person interviews unless you're still in the playoffs. Basically, what that means in a nutshell is if the Lions win, the Bears will have to wait until the next week to talk to Ben Johnson again in person on the 27th, because you can only talk to people on the 20th who are eliminated from the playoffs. You basically have a short window of when the playoffs started till the end of this round to do virtual interviews. You could still do virtual interviews up until the end of the divisional round. So if the Bears want to talk to Brian Flores, they can do it virtually this week. If they want to talk to any other coach that got eliminated from the playoffs, they can do so virtually this week. Packers OC was another interview. They can talk to him by the end of this week. But since the Bears already talked to Ben Johnson, they have to wait till he's either eliminated or he's in the bye week to the Super Bowl before they can do an in-person with him.
Well, that sucks. Well,
it does suck, but I think it could work in the Bears' favor. And I say that because there's other coaches they're talking to. I mean, so there's 4 or 5 teams all fighting for the same batch of coaches, obviously. Ben Johnson already said he's not talking to the Jets and he's not talking to the Saints, right? So that takes those teams out of it. But this could help us if the Saints want to move quicker on a Mike McCarthy and say they want to make him the coach. So they're rushing through and, maybe they pull some interviews out of their behind to satisfy the Rooney Rule like the Patriots and they hire Mike McCarthy. I think that's great for the Bears because then they won't hire him, 1. And 2, it just leaves you waiting for Ben Johnson.
And then they don't get Ben Johnson and you're stuck with whatever.
All right, so we got to break this down. Right now it looks like a 3-team race. Now the Patriots have blown through the Rooney Rule, sidestepped it, say what you will. They hired Mike Vrabel. Some people might argue non-ethically, but whatever. The rule is the rule, and they satisfied it half-heartedly. They did so because, like I said, you can't interview people in the NFL until January 20th, but they took 2 people who were not in the NFL and people of color who had no chance at getting even an offensive coordinator job, interviewed them for their head coach and said, okay, Vrabel's our coach. So whatever. The Jags and the Raiders are the 2 other teams left standing in the Ben Johnson race. The Jags kept Trent Baalke, their GM, who seems to have survived many firings throughout his life and is now choosing his 6th coach, and many people around the league do not like. So Ben Johnson, who a lot of people thought was going to go to Jacksonville, probably put them at the bottom because of that.
He's hiring his 6th coach?
It's something like that. Dude, he got Harbaugh fired in San Fran and brought in that other dude behind him. Tom Sula, I think it was his coach after Harbaugh.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, so he was there for 2 or 3 coaches, and now he's had Doug Peterson in Jacksonville, and he's getting another one.
And he had old boy, right? The bar guy.
Urban Meyer.
Meyer.
Yeah, this is his 6th coach. So Boston has, and I don't know, maybe Brian Thomas saved his career. I don't know. When the Jags announced that he was staying, all Bears fans kind of rejoiced because they were like, oh my God, this is the break they needed for the Bears to get Ben Johnson because no one's going to want to work with this guy.
But what's the owner's name? Didn't Shad Khan or whatever say that if the incoming coach doesn't want Baalke, he'll fire him? Like right in front of Baalke? Didn't he say some shit like that?
He did say it, but he also more hinted at like a organizational restructure where they would move Baalke into a different role, which still wouldn't do anything for him just because that's his boy. Shad Khan and Baalke watch the games together, which I think is weird. So they're really close, and that relationship might stop them from getting Johnson. And the way this is trending, the recent name in their mix has been Robert Saleh, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah, because he was the linebacker coach there when somebody was there. He was there before San Francisco, I think.
Right. Liam Cohen's also a hot name, the Bucs OC. But as it stands now, I would say the Jags are looking like kind of the odd man out between the 3 teams. But now here comes the Raiders out of nowhere. They waited. They pulled the Bears. They let Antonio Pierce go out there and do his end-of-season presser. They asked him if he was going to get fired, and he was just like, I don't know, I'm still here. And then they fired him the next day. And this kind of came out of the blue because Johnson said he would be quote-unquote selective, but he took the Raiders interview, and supposedly Tom Brady is heavily persuading him into being their next coach. And a lot of people seem to think insiders seem to think that that's where he'll end up.
I mean, Brady's the only attractive piece of that, right?
And he's a 5%, right? He's a 5% owner.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's involved. I mean, if he's involved, he's involved. It doesn't matter how small of a percentage of an owner
right, but
stake he has. If he's 100% in the building and hanging out and talking, like, that doesn't matter. But the thing about that is it doesn't really do anything for the roster or your job in terms of, like, you just get to be with Brady and, like, pick his brain on things and things like, I don't know. To me, that wouldn't be enough for me to take a job, because they have shit for a quarterback situation. They don't have a good draft pick. They don't really have good cap situation, from my understanding. I didn't dive into it deep, but
no, they do. They have a lot of money to spend. And I'm
they?
pretty sure their pick's pretty high. But to your point, it's not really like a draft where there's like last year's draft was the year to get a QB. This
Right.
year, what are you going to do? Ben Johnson's going to be okay trading up for Shedeur Sanders? Like, I don't know. For a guy that waited 3 years for a job and is supposed to be like, the most selective MFer out there, you're trying to tell me that he's going to go to one of the potentially worst situations possible for him?
Right.
I don't buy it, dude. I don't buy it for a second. I think it's a full leverage play. I mean, anything's possible, but at the end of the day, it's just like, I don't know. When the other thing is, like, when a lot of these big wig superstars become owners, half of them suck most of the time. Like, Michael Jordan was an absolutely terrible owner.
And like you say, he's a 5%. Like, he doesn't do anything. The interesting thing is, I don't know. I mean, like, if you don't have a pretty good, like, what's your fallback plan? Like, if you get to February,
all right, so the Raiders have the 6th pick. Sorry.
And the Lions won the Super Bowl or were in the Super Bowl, and Johnson isn't your coach, or you, like, what I'm saying is, like, you have to have a pretty strong indication, like, pretty soon, that he's going to accept the job, or you're drastically limiting your options, whether that be McCarthy or Joe Brady or whatever else you want to go with.
But so my counter argument to this, and I don't know why there's been so much pushback. The Bears have, I believe, exactly 20 names on their head coaching list so far, and people are going to say that's way too many. They're embarrassing themselves. They're this or they're that. One, with the new rules, you can't bring people in until January 20th, regardless of who you are, if you're working in the NFL. So why does it matter if they do 21-hour Zoom calls or 2-hour Zoom calls between now and then? I don't think that's hurting anyone. Two, to your point, if you're waiting all this out for Ben Johnson and you don't get him, you're going to need a hell of a freaking backup plan. And you're going to need a backup plan to your backup plan and a backup plan to your backup plan to your backup plan in case every coach you want is gone. So they have to do their due diligence in this case to get this right in case the worst thing possible happens. Do you kind of agree, though, Chris?
With which part?
That interviewing this many coaches is they kind of need to do it if they're going
I
to
don't
be
think
this long.
I don't think it fucking matters. I mean, like,
well, people are making a big deal. Like, it's like freaking.
Well, the reason that people are making a big deal is because it's the same. It's the same type of search that they did for the OC, which led to Shane Waldron. It's the same type of search that they've done before, where they just, we're going to cast a wide net. And it feels more like we don't know what we want. We want this leader of men, but you're bringing in literally fucking anybody. So, like, you don't have a type. It's like speed dating. Like, no, I'm not really into, brunettes, but I'm going to talk to him anyway. It's like, why? You're not into him. And that's a very superficial and stupid, a comparison, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like you don't have a type or a goal. You're just talking to people. And if it's information gathering and it's, you know, similar to like the Thomas Brown situation where you're interviewing people that could be brought in as pieces once you do have a coach in place, like I heard earlier, the Adam Stenovich, you know, this guy I was listening to said Stenovich could be like a information gathering on McCarthy because he played under McCarthy when he was there. So if it's that, okay, you know, it's whatever. But like Marcus Freeman feels like such a waste of time, dude. Arthur Smith seems like a total waste. Like, what are you gonna do? Ask him like why he didn't use Justin Fields more? Like, what the fuck are you gonna talk to Arthur Smith about?
I don't know. I guess my point is, like, if in 2 weeks on January 20th, when they can start bringing these dudes in, if they're bringing in 20 dudes, yeah, I'll be concerned. If they're 20 of you interviewed on Zoom and 15 of you are getting brought in, like, they're going to obviously narrow down their list, and we'll probably know who their finalists are in about a week and a half.
Ugh, good God.
But the new process, it just stretches it out, you know, so far. Here, I have the names here in front of me.
I did too. I pulled it up. The first interview that's completed, and then so we'll just go through the first interview completed. Thomas Brown, Pete Carroll, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, Mike Kafka, Drew Petzing, Ron Rivera, Vrabel, Anthony Weaver. Obviously, Vrabel took the Patriots job. They have McCarthy tomorrow.
That's in person for what it's worth.
Right. They have requested interviews for Joe Brady, Bills OC, Matt Campbell, the Iowa State head coach. That's another what the fuck. Brian Flores makes sense. Marcus Freeman, I don't think makes sense because the buyout's going to be – well, I don't know, man. Some people think the buyout's ridiculous. My understanding is college contracts are worked so that if people want an out, there is one. Cliff Kingsbury, Todd Monken, David Shaw, he's a Broncos senior personnel executive.
He interviewed tonight, just got done.
That just got done? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Smith, and then Adam Stenovich is the most recent one. So what is that, 20?
Should be.
9, 10, 11, 12, 19. 19? I think it's 19. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Denied interviews, not applicable. So everybody wants this job.
So Rivera was in person as well, which I thought was interesting. Interesting they brought Rivera in. So that's obviously one of the two Rooney interviews, but they could have brought Pete Carroll in and talked to him, but they used virtually for him. It's kind of interesting to see who they're bringing in, who they're not. I mean, I think it looks like they're trying to make everyone on a level playing field, but for the guys they can bring in, I don't really understand why they're not.
I have a random question. Not random. If you don't get Ben Johnson, could you get obviously it'll be a letdown to not get Ben Johnson, but
I don't think so. I have a few other names in mind that I'd be totally happy with.
As happy?
Not as happy, but
okay, then it's a letdown. Doesn't matter if it's minor. It's you have a goal. There's a goal. If you don't get the goal, you fucking miss your goal. It sucks. It's not fun. So anyway, that's not necessarily the point. The point is it sounds like you'd already be content at least with another hire. My point was, could you get to pretty excited with a hire and a good staff? So let's say it's Pete Carroll and he brings in Ron Rivera as the DC, and I would say Thomas Brown because he's already in. So whatever, somebody a good OC, because he better not bring Shane Waldron back here. But
yeah, I think
I think a good staff could also
Dude, personally, I've been kind of just, and I'm not trying to set myself up for letdown where I'm just they're not getting Ben Johnson because the Bears never get what they want, blah, blah, blah. I think this is a really good coaching cycle, and I do think there is some good options that could make the Bears drastically better.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
There's a few guys I'm very intrigued by, at least I should say that.
So, I mean, I think the guys that I know you've talked about, well, why don't you tell the folks who else you like outside of Ben Johnson?
I mean, I've told you before how much I like Brian Flores. I still stand by that. Last night didn't change anything. I think the Bears need a true leader. And now I think they're probably going to sway toward going offense, but I think as an absolute fallback plan, I think I could see a world where he's potentially hired if they literally ran out of all options and waited till the end. I don't think that'll happen. I think the Ben Johnson fallback is going to be Todd Monken, who I've been diving further into recently, and I really like his profile. And that's a guy that I think I would be super stoked to see the Bears under him.
The two guys you like are two guys that like George McCaskey. Like that would be an absolute opposite George McCaskey type hire. Both Flores and Monken both have, I don't know if Monken really has anger issues, but he's definitely got a potty mouth, which George doesn't like.
Well, dude, if it's any obvious thing about what I'm looking for in a coach, I want that guy. I want that guy that's going to curse and swear and call players names and make sure they're doing the right thing and keep the locker room in check. But Monken, like, just even outside of his like philosophy and his potty mouth, I mean, dude, have you seen Lamar's numbers the past 2 years with him and then without him?
Well, like when he came in, people were, where was he before?
He was at Georgia, man, and Stetson Bennett and Carson Beck were both pretty good under him.
Yeah,
and Georgia fell off when he left.
When he came in, people were like stoked that Lamar was getting him, and I was like, I remember doing fantasy research that year, and people were like, "Yeah, this guy's going to change how Lamar plays." And I mean, Lamar deserves another MVP. I mean, I don't know if he'll get it because he probably has a better team around him than Josh Allen does. And my thing has always been, if Josh Allen fell out, like if a player wasn't there, would you be as good, right? So kind of like the whole Francisco Lindor versus whatever those cheaters. What's that dude's name? Oh my God,
Ohtani.
Yeah, Ohtani. Like if Ohtani wasn't on the Dodgers, they would still be in the playoffs. If Lindor wasn't on the Mets, they might not win anything. So that kind of thing. But I still think Lamar is probably going to win his third MVP, which that's wild to me that he has 3 MVPs. Fucking crazy.
But yeah,
people called him a wide receiver at one point.
His completion percentage is almost 5% higher than whatever his face was that went to the Chargers, Greg Roman.
Roman, yeah.
Yeah, his completion percentage is way higher. He's throwing for significant, like, it's crazy. And then I just watch their offense, and it's really modern and fun. Like, they do a lot of fun stuff. And this might be a hot take. If Todd Monken was 37 and not 57, he's probably talked about in the same breath as Ben Johnson.
57's not. I'm not mad at 57.
Neither am I. I'm just saying, if he was like, oh, he's in his 30s, he's going to be coaching the NFL for 40 more years. Like, I don't know. A lot of people compare to Monken. It's a interesting comparison. They say he's like Bruce Arians, kind of like a late bloomer, was a coordinator for a while, did a lot at every stop he went to, and he finally got a job. He did a good job, and it's actually kind of funny. It comes full circle like that the Bears could get a chance to hire Bruce Arians light second time.
They'll fuck it up.
And he's from the Chicago area too, which is cool.
I definitely don't. I definitely like Monken. I just don't know. I don't have anything. I have anything against him in terms of of course we don't know what anybody's going to bring in terms of staff. I guess when you're 57, you have a lot more connections than you probably do at 37.
I will say now, how do you feel about Mike McCarthy? I know Joe joked about this before, and now it's potentially coming true, but like, what are your thoughts on him? Because I think people shit on him a little too much.
I mean, like I said, I think I think staff is important. especially for, offensive side of the ball guy or whatever. I think McCarthy's more of that like CEO coach because he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah, he'd probably bring Brian Schottenheimer with him and Mike Zimmer to run his defense.
He's fine. It's not. I don't know. He's not my first choice retread. He's probably higher than like Pete Carroll for me.
So that was going to be my question. Like Carroll, Rivera, McCarthy are probably going McCarthy out of those three, right?
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know if I'd put Rivera over Carroll.
No. I'd put Carroll over. I didn't put him in order. I just was naming him.
No. I know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I don't want Rivera at all.
I mean, he'd be fine as a DC.
Yeah, if he wants to do that.
I mean, that's another. Monken as the head coach and Rivera as the DC. In Chicago, back in the city that made him a Super Bowl champion. It's weird how it would work that way because before. It's been long enough since he's been a head coach that it wouldn't be that big of a deal to have him be a DC in Chicago, right? You would think the only position for him would be offensive or would be head coach, just because of his status with the team and whatnot. But I don't know, be interesting.
No, I'm sure he has his own ideas for staff, but that's the type of guy that if Ben Johnson became coach, that I would freaking love to have as the DC. Get him just a veteran DC who's been around the block. He knows about being a head coach even.
So I asked that guy on TikTok live who he thought Ben Johnson's coordinators would be, and he thought that Rivera would be a DC pick and that Josh McCown was going to get some looks at OC.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be a sweet combo. McCown might want to go somewhere where he can call plays, though, depending.
Man,
but I do think.
Does McVay call plays?
Yeah, he does.
And Shanahan does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't take away from anything. Then it just first time head coach is calling plays. It just makes me. I don't know, but I guess it did. It was a better look when Eberflus was calling plays than.
I mean, if you hire Johnson, that's who you're bringing him for. He's not going
for sure. No,
he's not
going
to
to give it up
that unless they completely shit the bed. But
oh god, if they bring Johnson and he shits the bed, oh my god, that would be such a bad look. Dude.
That's the only thing though. This time, it's if he does shit the bed, no one will bat an eye about them making a choice.
No. And so let me ask you this, Lucas. What do you think about the rumors that Poles wanted Johnson last year and he got shut down, and that Poles is Johnson's guy, but Warren has to be impressed or whatever the fucking bullshit rumor is this year? Think that's all smoke? Do you think that's validated?
It's a bit too elaborate for me. I just think they liked Eberflus a lot, dude. I don't know. They kept they just backed him up so many times, and I don't know.
I mean, this goes back. This is like the Pace, just like Pace and Fox all over again. Not necessarily it's a bad look from the outside. Hey, Poles, you have these three guys to choose from. You can add to it, but we got these three guys. As a first-time GM, even if you're told you can expand your search, are you rocking the boat? I don't know. I mean, I bet if Ian Cunningham gets a shot or whatever, and they told him oh, hey, you got these three guys, he'd be like, dude, I've been in the league long enough. I'm gonna go find my own fucking people.
I mean, the job he's interviewing for, they kept Callahan, so he's kind of walking into that type of situation already. The Titans kept their coach and they fired the GM, so it's the same type of thing.
I just don't know how you do that, man. That's fucking just so ass backwards. Just fire everybody, man.
Well, what's messed up about that is that Vrabel got fired because he wanted certain people because he said the new GM wasn't ready for the job yet. He ended up getting fired. And then a year later, the GM that he said wasn't ready for the job ended up getting fired. But the coach he replaced him with kept his these organizations are just fucked up, man. I don't know what it is.
So dumb. So dumb. Where do you, after kind of the Flores, so if I'm understanding you correctly, or if I'm hearing you, it's Ben Johnson, Monken, Flores, and then McCarthy, Carroll kind of, or do you have like what's your order of preference after Johnson, I guess is the question.
I would be happy with Flores or Monken as my second tier, and then third tier like McCarthy or Carroll. But I don't think they're even that far behind the second tier.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like I think there's a bigger drop off between Johnson and Flores and Monken than there is between McCarthy and those two.
What's your thoughts on? Do you have any any understanding as to why they has Liam Cohen gotten any head coaching looks? You said Jacksonville's looking at him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jacksonville has been linked to him a lot.
I'm just curious why, we didn't interview him. I mean, he kind of turned freaking Baker's career around.
I kind of get the sense he might not be quite ready yet, just because it's not like every team's out here urgently requesting to interview him. So
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so Monken's been an NFL play caller for 2 years, and I'm sure Baltimore's.
He's called plays with the. He was a college head coach for a little bit, and then he called plays for the Buccaneers, and then he called plays for Georgia, and then now he's calling plays. So he's been around a long time, and he's coached like every position on offense. So he does have a little head coaching experience. He has been in college in different pro style offenses.
He was a head coach at Southern Miss from 13 to 15. OC with 4 roles, with Tampa from 16 to 18, and the Browns in 19. Georgia from 20 to 22. Monken's gotten the most out of Jackson, 2023 NFL MVP. Top 5 offense. They're 25-9 since Monken joined the staff. 58 interviewed with the Panthers and the Chargers last season. Wish they. How did he do in Carolina in Cleveland and Tampa? I'm curious, because they're obviously. My biggest thing has always been I want an offensive guy that's going to construct his offense around the team he has, not construct the team around his offense. Right? I want people to build their playbook off of the talent that they have. Utilize the strengths that they have on the field already, and then build from there. Not like, hey, everybody, I know you don't do this well, but this is what we're going to do. Like Nagy trying to force his offense onto Trubisky.
He's had if you look at the quarterbacks he's coached, they're all really different.
Yeah,
Stetson Bennett, Carson Beck, Jameis Winston, and then Lamar. It's like huge difference. And the shit he's running with Lamar now is he's running a lot of creative QB run. I don't know. I think he knows what he's doing.
Well, and they run the ball really well too.
He's like an old school dude that has changed his offense a lot to keep up with the new school NFL mentality.
Yeah. So he hasn't interviewed yet.
No, it's tougher for him just because the Ravens are still in it and they played the first week. So
he can virtual on the 20th then.
Well, he can virtual this week actually, but it's just a matter of when he'll have time because he's obviously preparing for the game. So if he does, I don't know if the Ravens play Saturday, but normally you would see these guys maybe do it the day before, where like the game plan's in,
Yeah.
practice is over,
Yeah.
they hop on Zoom for an hour.
And the Bears have like 47 fucking people on these Zoom calls asking questions. So stupid.
I don't know how exactly they're doing it. I forget what source I heard it from, but they were saying that like in Johnson's interview, he got the one-on-one with Poles and then talked to everyone else differently aside. I'm hearing stuff from all over. I don't even know what is or is not true anymore. I'm just
that's probably one thing. I'm just like, I don't want to get myself too far deep down the rabbit hole of what
don't get too high or too low. Just be happy he chose the interview, and if you get an interview in person, that's a good sign.
Yeah. Of course, we'd rather know sooner than later.
It's going to drag on, man. This process is going to take a long time.
For sure.
Now, in your shoes, if they wait this time for Johnson and whiff, who's on your radar of guys you would like to see hired? / would you be just unhappy with basically any other option besides Ben?
I'll be unhappy. Like, to me, it's Ben and then a fucking massive gap. Like you said. Like, I think there is I'm not overly impressed with this coaching cycle, but I'm also probably very soured by how they've handled it in the past. I was really hopeful for Thomas Brown. He didn't go well, but he was also up against just a shitload of problems, right? I mean, offensive line that was on its 25th or 27th different combination, trying to call plays out of not his playbook, essentially. So after Ben Johnson, I mean, I do. I mean, the more you talk about Monken, the more that is intriguing. Flores has also is intriguing. I just don't like, if we're taking out politics and if we're just saying like who is a good candidate, I think Flores is a good candidate. I think the McCaskies are not that team or not that ownership group to give him another chance, because he's in the middle of a lawsuit with the NFL. I mean, that's just never been them. I don't think Stenovich has a chance. I don't think Arthur Smith has a chance. David Shaw, I have no fucking clue what he's doing there. Kingsbury, I think, is I don't know what they're doing. I think that would be an embarrassing hire after last year. Freeman it's interesting. I don't think he'll leave Notre Dame, though.
There was an interesting wrinkle to Kingsbury because apparently he denied one of his interviews, and it was only leaked that the Bears and Saints requested him, and I'm pretty sure he accepted the Saints. So I don't know if he denied the Bears or I was just reading into that wrong or what.
So on Bears Wire, which is where I'm getting this, it says that they didn't have any denied interviews.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it was actually reported that it was denied. Gotcha. It was like he was requested for 2 of them and denied 1 of them.
Gotcha.
But like, not everyone has to report what interviews they take or don't take, so that also makes it more confusing. People are saying there's actually more than 20 names on the Bears list. They're just not reporting them all.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So the way I was listening to, I forget who was saying it. They were just like, some coaches will tell you to put their name out there to get their name back in the cycle. Other guys will be like, no, don't say that, because it's like a college coach, like with a big name. They're not going to want like their school's alumni to freak out that they could be leaving. But sometimes they use it for contract negotiations. So like they were saying, Pat Fitzgerald used to do it all the time at Northwestern. Be like, the Bears are interested, and they fucking extend him 2 more years. And when the Bears fire their coach again, be like, the Bears are interested, and they extend 2 more years.
Man, he's just making money. Well, that's a weird dynamic with Pat Ryan being part owner of of the Bears and basically owning Northwestern.
Yeah.
Because then he's
think the
basically like
the
he's
Packers were-
he's the leak, dude. Like he's the one he's the one with all the inside info at Northwestern,
Right.
probably telling them you better keep Fitzpatrick because he's the Bears are interested. How do you know? I'm part owner. How the fuck don't I know?
He told me.
I told you. I'm interested. Oh man.
All right. So what else you got for me? They don't hire Johnson. You think Cliff would be embarrassing hire? I kind of get that. I honestly thought he would be higher on the Bears list, but doesn't really seem that way at the moment.
I don't see Aaron Glenn. Thomas Brown, I don't think that's not going to happen. Kafka, I don't think was. Kafka, I think might have been. Well, he's in seat in New York, right? He didn't get fired or anything.
He's their OC.
Okay,
that's Poles' buddy, though.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, for the retreads, I'd probably lean McCarthy. I'd probably trying to think if I'd put McCarthy over Flores. I don't know. For me, it would depend on staff. I don't know if I'd necessarily be excited about Schottenheimer and freaking Mike Zimmer. But
I think Schottenheimer's a pretty good OC.
Who calls plays in Dallas?
I think McCarthy gave it up for a little bit, but he did take it back at a certain point. I forget why.
Do you think? I mean, to me, it's got to be what's best for Caleb. And I think
McCarthy would be a great hire for Caleb. It's just I feel like it's kind of capping your ceiling of what he is. But to me, the argument of people saying like, "Oh, he can't win in the playoffs," like the Bears aren't even in the playoffs ever.
Yeah,
so like,
get us.
Goddamn, if they're going to the playoffs, awesome, and they lose, wow, oh my God, my heart. Like they won 6 more games than they won this year and lost in the playoffs. Oh.
Yeah, everybody thought the roster could get us there. They forgot that coaching was going to be a shit show. I mean, they were probably in this. They were probably in the playoffs if McCarthy's the coach this year.
I was going to say, so like, what would your expectation be if Mike McCarthy was the coach? 9 wins, 10 wins next year?
I don't really know. Like, I feel like he's the most. Like, I just don't know enough. Like, I feel like there's just like a lot of negative connotations around him. Even when you got the Dallas job originally, they're like, "Oh, this is a fucking terrible hire. This isn't going to work." You know what I mean? So I don't know.
His winning percentage and playoff percentage is almost identical to Mike Tomlin and Sean Payton.
Yeah,
each have a Super Bowl. It's crazy. And Carroll too.
You sent out that thing. He's got a better winning percentage than I think everybody on that list, right? Like he had a 610 or 618 winning percentage.
608 winning percentage, and he's 11-11 in the playoffs.
Oh, he's the bottom one?
Yeah, I believe so. Pete Carroll is a 0.586 winning percentage. He's also 11-11 in the playoffs.
Who's the 618? Is that Carroll?
No, I believe that's Sean Payton.
Okay.
And then the other one's Mike Tomlin.
And Tomlin's 630?
I believe so.
And 8-11 in the playoffs. Ouch. Oh, man. Let's just get Ben Johnson and not fucking worry about any of this.
So, let's say hypothetically the Bears were in it till the end, but they lost out to the Raiders.
Jesus.
You think that's...
I would just point and laugh at Ben Johnson, dumbass.
Well, I was going to say, do you think that's more of a Ben Johnson thing, or is that more of an indictment on the Bears organization being a shit show? That's the thing. The Raiders
is the money the same? That's the other thing. Is like you're talking about going up against a team that gave John Gruden a 10-year, $100 million deal. So, like, back to your leverage thing. Like, could Ben Johnson just be like, "Yeah, I have no interest in going to the Raiders, but they're gonna offer a lot of money, and then I'll just go back to the Bears and be like, hey, this is an offer from the Raiders." But like you said, being so selective about his choice, And would you want? I mean, do you want to stay in the division? Does that matter to you? Does that weigh on your decision at all? Is that a positive? Is it a negative? Is it a
Is playing against Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid better? And Bo Nix and Sean Payton now?
Well, I just mean like
no, I know what you mean, but I don't know.
But I mean, do you want to stay close to Dan Campbell? You see him twice a year. You know, you're not far away from him geographically. Like, do you want to beat him? Like, is it like Belichick's kids can never beat him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's all getting into weird dynamics that I couldn't answer. I don't know why that would.
Come on, Lucas. We're only 45 minutes into this thing. We got something to talk about. Every time I'm bringing up conspiracy theories and wild shit to talk about, you're like, I don't know. Fuck that. Move on.
Well, he is a strange dude. I'm sure he has strange thoughts, but that's just like a weird conversation to have. Like because I can't imagine myself thinking that way.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's the thing for me though, where people are like, "Oh, well, the division's tough." Okay, so you're going to go play Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid?
Yeah, I don't even care.
That's brilliant.
Tough. Like, I mean, what does he want? Like, what does Johnson want? Does he just want money? Does he want to win? Does he?
Dude, I don't think anyone knows.
Build something? Yeah, that's the question.
He does seem a little strange, though, for sure.
Why?
Strange
like in press conferences and stuff? Do you think they made him do a mock press conference?
He probably made them do a mock press conference.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. George, how much out of the way are you going to stay? None, Ben. Awesome. This was short. Thanks, guys.
Just reading between the lines, though, it does seem like more of a leverage play than anything. Like, this team out of the blue, of course, it's the Raiders. It's the perfect play because you can be like, oh, Brady's talking him up. And like you said, Moneybags Davis, it's the perfect leverage play to juice up a contract. But the situation there is so horrible, I can't imagine what he sees in it.
I don't know, man. Your hometown is Vegas.
Yeah, and he's like a family man who likes living in the city.
Oh, really? Okay, I have no idea.
Apparently he loves Detroit. Supposedly.
So you've done this much investigation on this dude, and you don't know about his thought process on things? Come on, bro. Where's he like to eat? What's his favorite kind of pizza?
He goes to Elmo's for steaks. Detroit style pizza.
That's really not that different than Chicago style tavern pizza, but
I know. He goes to Little Caesars, it's his favorite spot.
Elmo's is in Indianapolis, dude. What are you talking
about? I know. I just picked the Midwest.
I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. He goes to Gibson's for steaks or Ditka's.
Oh man, I don't know. I really don't know. If you had to ask me today, though, I do feel like the Bears are going to get Ben Johnson. And I always feel like the betting markets are more, driven by speculation than anything. But it's interesting to me that the speculation of him going to the Raiders and the Bears line actually got better. So at the beginning of today, I think he was minus like 110 or minus 120 to be the Bears coach. And at the end of today, after all this Raiders talk came out more and more, he's now minus 220 to be the Bears' next coach.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting because normally, like I said, I think it's normally driven by speculation. But the speculation at this point is that he's going to the Raiders. So I don't know.
I mean, you got to think like, what's the risk tolerance for the books on that kind of thing? Like, is there even that much of a betting market on it? And like our
probably not.
Like lines could sway that big on like $1,000 bet. You know what I mean? Because like there's just not enough info on it, and some jackass was like, this is what I think, and they're like, oh fuck, we should move the line. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And then supposedly the Bears blog from Twitter was on Irish Bears show, and he was saying supposedly from his sources he heard that Ben's interview with the Bears went well, and that he really, 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 really likes Caleb.
How can you not, dude?
I think ultimately, at the end of the day, that's got to be the deciding factor, truthfully. And that's why I was worried about the Pats. Is like, okay, you could argue that Drake May might be, maybe more appealing, but they went Vrabel. Jacksonville, like I said, with Balky and Lawrence, it's like, okay, could see it, but not really. And the Raiders, there's nothing
other than Brady. Where do you think which direction do you think the Raiders go if they don't get Johnson?
Pete Carroll. Yeah, Pete Carroll's been the other name linked there pretty frequently, so that would be a good guy for them too. Like get them on the right track, get a young quarterback in there, get him ready for a few years and pass the torch.
Dude, I'm like, I feel so out of it right now. Like, I don't even know what other jobs are open. So the Bears, Saints, Jets, Cowboys, Raiders, Jags. So you think Saints go to McCarthy
or Glenn? Those are the two names linked there.
Oh, Glenn makes sense. He played there, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And then I think the Jets. I've heard Glenn tied to the Jets as well.
Glenn, or I could also see Flores as like. I could see Flores going there as well.
Flores and Aaron Rodgers, that'd be freaking hilarious.
I don't think Rodgers is going to be there next year, man.
Oh, they're a train wreck.
He's from New York, too. That's not a bad fit, really.
Flores and the Jets?
Yeah.
And there's rumors of Dion to the Cowboys now?
The Cowboys are one of those teams. They're going to make a freaking weird hire, dude. It's not going to be like one of these dudes we're all talking about. I could see him like getting.
So?
I mean, it's going to be some weird like Dion. I mean, Dion is crazy. I think
that's a weird pick.
I think Kellen Moore's another name I've seen linked there coming from Philly. Like that's just. I don't think it's going to be one of these big names we're talking about. No.
Why hasn't Kellen Moore gotten more shots at a head coaching job? He's always had good offenses.
I don't know what's up with him. He's bounced around as an OC. I always liked him and thought he did a good job, but I don't know.
He had he was in Dallas for a long time.
Jerry Jones was always linked to some random college coaches too. I saw Sark. Sark is another name linked there. That would be weird.
So is Ryan Day unemployed after this year? Or what the hell is the rumor that he's not going to be at Ohio State next year?
Oh, I don't know. I thought he was definitely going to be there. I thought that was just a joke.
Okay, because that's weird. I don't know how you end up in the national championship and lose your job.
People are. I don't know.
People are dumb. All right, well.
We're not done yet. Jags. Who do we think goes to the Jags?
Oh, no, I thought we kind of already talked Liam Cohen.
Yeah. I was wondering if you had any other names you were going to.
No, solid makes sense there. I saw that rumor earlier today as well after you mentioned it. What? Yeah, no. I was going to say, what about Gerard Mayo to the Raiders since he has that Brady and Patriots connection? Just build Patriots West in Vegas.
I'm surprised they didn't make a harder push for Vrabel, to be honest with you.
It just seems like Kraft fast-tracked that so quick. He was probably hired before they even fired freaking Pierce.
Yeah, just about.
I think they were talking on Hogan Johns that they wanted to hire him last year, but didn't expect. I can't remember if. Yeah, they had already made the promise to Mayo essentially, and then Vrabel became available, and they kind of were stuck.
Yeah.
Shit, he might have even been hired last year. Been like, hey, you're hired. Just go get some info on the Browns.
Trying to think what other names could be linked to the Raiders, though, besides I've seen Carroll linked there a lot. I'm just trying to think who else makes sense there.
Let's see here. Las Vegas Raiders coaching interviews, coaching candidates. Oh, this is another sports mockery type site. Ben Johnson. You're not getting Ben Johnson, fucker.
Dude, so annoying. It's like we thought we were the clear when the Jags kept Balky and they hired Vrabel, and then it's just like, oh, the Raiders are back in the mix.
Yeah, so this guy has Flores tied to the Raiders as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
This is from Michael France at SI.com at Sports Illustrated. Guy to beat is freaking. This is per Hondo Carpenter.
Don't read him. He thinks it's a done deal that Ben's going there.
Yeah,
do not read him.
That's what this article says.
I was reading those articles. They're not. It's like he'll be like Ben Johnson's going to the Raiders, and then he'll give like 0 reasons why.
Oh, he said that Brady and Johnson are enamored with each other, and they see the game the same way. I'm like, bro, come on, dude.
Is Brady going to be playing quarterback for him?
Yeah, no. Shit, maybe. I don't know. What is he? He's only 50. Yeah, so he has Flores, and then he has Pete Carroll as well.
See, I think it's really interesting that of all these things, though, like we're not seeing not very many of these teams are. It seems like the interest in Monken is not super high. So that is a name that I think could kind of fly under the radar for the Bears if they like him, or if they miss out, it could be a nice fallback.
So let's see here.
Also, Chris, I do have to, before we get off for the night, do you remember last year in the draft process when we talked about Jared Verse a lot?
Yeah.
He's pretty freaking good. I think we nailed that.
Yeah.
We nailed that. Remember, people were pissed when they're like, the Bears aren't taking Jared Verse. They need to trade back 32 spots to get him in the second. Dude's a freaking monster.
Yeah, dude, he's an animal.
These idiots are like stammering. You can't take him 10 overall. Yeah, he's a freaking beast.
Ugh.
Gotta love Twitter.
Freaking, would you still take Rome?
I probably would have taken a lineman, but I would not be unhappy with an edge rusher there.
Yeah. Brock Bowers might have been a better choice.
Him going to the Raiders was crazy.
Yeah.
Todd Monken was his OC.
Especially after taking freaking Michael Mayer like a year before, 2 years before. Raiders are nuts, dude. I don't know how the fuck you think.
Stay away from Ben.
How the fuck you think you're gonna get Ben Johnson, dude? Be interested to see here. So, Aiden O'Connell. Okay, so speculation. Ben Johnson. So I guess they're also linked to Liam Cohen, Spagnuolo, Monken, and Saleh are all linked to the Raiders, according to this ESPN article.
That Steve Spagnuolo to the Cowboys. That would be interesting.
That makes sense.
That would be a Cowboys hire.
Yeah, for sure. I agree there. What about rehiring Gruden?
Now that's a guy I think the Bears would never touch, but
No.
Cowboys maybe.
They have $107 million in cap space. Holy shit.
Honestly, if I was Pete Carroll, that's the job I would want. Dallas. Go there for 4 or 5 years and retire.
4 or
Think
5
another
years. If that guy has more than 3 years left in him, I'd be shocked, dude.
No, I'm just saying. I think that would be a better job for him than rebuilding a horrible team.
He's like Joe Biden.
He's
like old as fuck.
He's got better memory.
He probably does.
Throws a better spiral. Chews more gum.
Chews the hell out of some gum.
He chews more gum per capita than the state of Illinois.
Bro, he's the kind of guy that freaking George would be all excited about. That rah-rah guy.
I wouldn't even hate that hire. It's just like, if you're really hiring another guy for 3 years, but he's not going to get fired, he's just going to voluntarily step down. Like, what's the point?
I don't want Pete Carroll.
Here's the plan for Pete Carroll, right? If you bring him in, people keep talking about how Kevin Warren shouldn't be involved in this. Well, right there's your football guy that should be involved in football operations, and you make Kevin Warren the guy in the suit that talks about the stadium that's never getting built.
What do you mean? Like Pete Carroll becomes your football guy?
Yes, football president of operations.
And what happens to Ryan Poles?
No, they work in tandem. Apparently, that's common to have a football president, a GM, and then like a president of the organization.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That they were talking about on Hogan Johns. I didn't really understand that many teams did that, but they were like, "Oh yeah, it's fully normal to have like a football president and then another president that deals with other shit in the organization. That's like a mouthpiece for the owner."
Okay.
But yeah, that's my point. But then like Pete Carroll would be the guy that brings in the GM or fires the GM if he doesn't like him or whatever.
Who then would be the coach? So what do you like? Does Carroll just bring in OC that's going to be the next head coach in 3 years?
No, I
Make him like an assistant head coach?
I don't have a great answer for this. That's why I'm like, I wouldn't do it. But whoever hires him, obviously, I'm sure he'll have to have some kind of succession plan, or else why the hell would you hire the guy?
Because Pete Carroll.
Unless you're Dallas is totally the team that would hire him and just be like, 3 years, okay, you're good. We'll find some other veteran coach.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll freaking hire, like, by that time, Kyle Shanahan will have worn out his welcome and they'll hire him.
Dude, that's going to be an interesting deal, though. How do you give out a contract to a guy who's 73? Like, you probably can only, whatever he is, you can only give him 3 years max, probably. You're not going to give him the 4 or 5 years you normally would.
I don't know.
I wonder if there's a clause in there if he dies.
What kind of clause? Like they don't have to pay him? Yeah, probably not. He's dead.
Dude, I don't know. I hope he doesn't die, but just saying.
That's a twisted thought there, friend.
You got to think about these things when you're negotiating contracts.
I don't know if you do. So, Pete, let me ask you this.
Hey, Pete, here.
What if you die?
Sign on the dotted line that says death clause.
Is that your Jerry Jones accent?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Lucas.
Dude, Joe's not here this week to sing the songs. We finally won, so he should be singing the song, but he's not here.
Oh, and over the Packers. He doesn't get off of his other gig for like 25 more minutes. I'm not waiting that long.
No, neither am I.
You're tired.
I had to. If you had to choose today who the Bears' next coach is, who are you saying? That's the final word before I log out.
I still say it's Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson it is. All right. We'll find out in about 3 weeks.
Let's go.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.